Good morning, everybody. Budget meeting of the Mayor and Council, Saturday, January 26th. Everyone please rise for a moment of silent prayer.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Adequate notice of this meeting has been provided by posting on the bulletin board in Borough Hall, by email to the Ridgewood News, the Record, and by submission to all persons entitled to same, as provided by law of a schedule including the date and time of this meeting. I'd like to remind all members of the public we have 3 fire exits in our council chambers, 1 on each side of the dais and 1 in the rear. Could you take a roll call?
Councilwoman Kaufman?
Here.
Councilman Gautier is absent with prior notice. Councilman Papaleo?
Here.
Councilwoman Bastide?
Here.
Councilwoman Davis?
Here.
Councilman King-Ingo?
Here.
Mayor Mignon?
Here.
And Mayor, all citizen budget members are present and accounted for.
Very good. Okay. I don't know, lady.
You want to introduce yourself?
Yes, hi. I'm Claudia Calderon. I've been a resident of Linwood Ranch for about 8 years.
Great. Welcome. We look forward to your input.
Mayor, if I may, I'd like to just review the correspondence that came in very briefly, go to the position statement, look at the log, and then
Could I,
go to capital.
I just want to make an announcement. We're going to try to finish at 10 a.m., just so everybody's aware. 10 a.m. will be our intended curfew. Thank you. Sorry, Alan.
Okay, thank you. If you turn to your red books, you'll see we have correspondence tab there. If you go to number 16, I'm just going to make a comment on the last few entries so that you're aware that it's here in case you need it for background information. 16 is a series of memorandum that went out to our liaisons, just requesting that they meet with their departments, commissions, or committees and develop priorities or background information to be prepared to discuss those budgets today, both capital and operating. 17 is a letter from Suez. Typically we get this letter each year telling us what our fire hydrant charges are. This is good news. There'll be a decrease in the fire hydrant line based on their calculation of the charges this year. 18 are the minutes from the Riverside Cooperative. We are a member, I would like to say a founding member of the Riverside Cooperative, 16 towns that meet on an almost monthly basis to discuss going out cooperatively for purchases as well as other types of shared services and networking. And you'll note that we're discussing the joint 2019 resurfacing program this year. They're asking for a response back by February 20th, so I would appreciate the council and the citizens discussing the road program today so that we get some ideas to what information we have to get back to the cooperative program on a timely basis. 19 is a letter from the New Jersey State League of Municipalities. It's probably the best explanation of the third of the mill calculation for the library. Our library, by state statute, has a minimum funding level, and I've indicated it with an asterisk in the second paragraph, put a little box around it to draw your attention to the fact that the minimum amount is 33 cents per $1,000 of assessed value. So we'll be looking at a spreadsheet on that later on. Typically, we've overfunded over the mill calculation, but it's something that this group has always looked at in the past. Number 20 is a 5-year capital plan put together by the borough each year. We solicit input from the departments. Whatever information we get back, we try to update this document. It's just a planning document, but it's there for your information in case you need to refer to it. The last piece of correspondence, 21, is 2 pages. The first one has to do with the new open space allocation, which will be discussed by the mayor and council on Monday night. So if you wanted to spend a little bit of time becoming familiar with this and some of the requests, might be a good idea to prepare you for Monday night's meeting with the departments, commissions, and committees that are making requests for open space. The sheet behind it is a very fast summary as to the existing open space money that's still on hand. We still have about $201,602 on hand, so the council should look at that, take that into consideration when looking at the new allocations. We would encourage you and recommend that we spend these prior year amounts, close them out, and then move forward. So that's the correspondence. We can come back to it later on, depending on the topic that we're looking at. So we'll go to the position summary. That's another tab in your notebook. You have the most updated version on the position summary, and that will be up on the screen as well in a moment.
Well, I took my book, so
All right, up on the screen, we have the current position. Just a reminder, this number is the prior year budget. This is the paid or charged number from last year. These are the requests that we're considering at this point, and currently the entire budget is...
Ellen, are you on page 1, 2, 3, or 4?
3.
Council's are wondering.
3.
Thank you. Ellen, if you just slow down for a second while everyone gets set. Thank you.
I was really trying to get through the conversation.
That, and I think Alan needs to start handing out magnifying glasses for larger print for someone.
We could digest.
You don't think I'll take it? I'm taking it. There you go.
Okay, so coming back to the summary, right now we're $1,013,129.90 over last year, 6.37%. A couple weeks ago when you started out, this number was $1,400,000, roughly an 8.8% increase. Salaries are now up $289,000, 4.28%. A couple weeks ago it was $511,804, roughly a 7.5% increase. The other expenses are at $724,000, 8% increase. A couple weeks ago that was $888,000, or a 10% increase. So here are the changes that we've had. We're going to go to the log, which is the next page. The log tracks the changes from the original budget that was submitted. We're going to start with 19. So let's see. So we had the personnel subcommittee meeting and the finance subcommittee meeting, and these are the recommendations that are coming out from the personnel subcommittee. Let's get back up here. Personnel Subcommittee is recommending that a requested open floater position be eliminated. We took the employee custodian position out of the budget, but we're keeping it in the other expense area. They recommended prorating 2 open positions for police officers. They reduced police overtime on this particular item. They reduced police outside duty overtime as well. They prorated a potential promotion to July 1st. They prorated an open laborer position which was requested by the Department of Public Works. They took out a general repair additional position that was requested. The superintendent of public works position still has to be filled. We're anticipating doing that within 2 months, so that's been prorated as well. We prorated the replacement of an adult reference librarian, and we deleted an administrative assistant position that was requested in the recreation department, and another part-time recreation assistant position in the recreation department. At this point, there's one that's been left in there. From the finance committee, coming down, public information. This was reduced back to the prior year. We provided additional information for the finance committee as to some of the expenses that we had this year. Legal was reduced $20,000 based on an analysis of all the different items that went into that. Shade Tree was reduced at this point in time back to the prior year budget, so that was a $57,000 reduction. There was no justification at that time for the increase, so we moved it back to that point. And 2 deferred charges unfunded were eliminated from this year's budget as they were canceled at the Sine Die meeting. Some of the other changes that have taken place that I booked, we made a correction to log number 28, which we picked up on. That resulted in an increase in the library of $3,400. Here's the fire hydrant reduction of $12,000 based on the letter we received. We had a change of hours for 2 employees. After discussing it with the library director, that resulted in a $9,880 reduction. State local cooperative housing is a grant that we received, so we're increasing it to $2,078, but on the revenue side, you'll see the grant coming in, so there's an offset there. The capital improvement fund has been modified based on additional requests that we received since we last met. The clerk is requesting 3 desktop computers. The code enforcement officer is requesting a computer. The library asked me to anticipate a potential retirement of one of the employees, so this would be the severance payment based on an ordinance that we have in effect, which has to be added to the salary account. And the clerk requested an increase in the capital for a refrigerator replacement and a new lectern for the council chambers. Those are all the log changes to date that resulted in the position that you saw recently.
Yes.
The question on the salary and wage lines, the positions that are being eliminated, are they additional positions or are they replacements?
They were both.
They were both?
Most of them were new requests. The general repairer was put in last year by John Lynch in anticipation of a possible retirement. That's why I said it might have been included, but that's not occurring, at least not in the near future, so we took that out. So
the staffing is going to remain relatively the same?
Yes, I think the only thing we did add back was potentially a part-timer for the rec department. Is that correct, Adam?
Well, there were different prorated based on hirings this year.
But those are filling spaces. I'm talking about new positions.
There's no layoffs.
No, he's asking for new positions.
Yeah.
I'm asking if there were new positions, because some of them seem to be, as you read it, some of them sound like they were additional staff.
Yes, some were new positions requested by the departments.
Okay.
And the other one that was eliminated that was a previous was the floater position, which we just didn't have success with. So we decided not to redo that.
But the general consensus is that the borough can operate with the staff that they have. They don't need additional staff as requested by the department.
Correct.
Another question,
Yes,
what is Shade Tree? On line...
Right here.
23, yeah.
Yeah, this
I don't know what that is.
shade tree. Luckily, we have a commission that monitors and reviews all of the shade tree issues in the town. They look at tree planting, stump removal, trimming, prevention, Mayor, I would recommend that you go to Capitol and start a review.
Do we
of
need
Capitol.
to have a motion on the changes?
Mayor, I just want to inform the
yeah, that
council
would
of
be
piece of
appropriate.
information before we move on this. So as per the memo that Alan sent and per my normal practice, I met with the departments that I am liaison to, and one of them, of course, is Shade Tree. I asked Shade Tree for an explanation of the increase, as the council did want to know that. This has to do with the emerald ash borer treatments. Now, we've already invested a tremendous amount of money in that, and none of our trees have died, which means it's been a great success. But the problem with a success to avoid something is that there is nothing to report other than the trees didn't die. So this is the next treatment that is recommended by Shade Tree National, as well as by arborists in general, to protect the trees. So that, I'm not saying that we should keep that or not keep that. I'm not advocating at this time either way. I'm simply want the council to know that if we remove this, then we go back to the situation that we would have been in if we hadn't first treated them. And we've already invested, and Shade Tree wanted me to make clear that we've already invested a lot of money in preserving these trees to not do the next treatment they consider to be something that we may wish to reconsider. But we can talk about that at a later
Does
date.
it have to be done every year? Do we have to-
Every other year or every 2 years.
Is this something that they told us about? Because I certainly
Yeah,
don't remember this.
I didn't remember it either.
No, this had gone on, yes.
This has been going on
Yeah,
for...
maybe before you got
No,
here.
I remember that, I was here when the whole thing
Yes,
happened
yeah.
with the.
So if you're asking if they said once every 2 years or so,
Right.
I don't remember,
Yeah.
but they clearly said that there would have to be future treatments.
The question is, out of the entire
Timeline I
budget,
wasn't aware.
out of the entire budget, what is the value of the dollar amount of that?
Here's the,
That I-
there, I've had the budget up on the screen here. So you've got office supplies, 750, training, 2,500, tree planting, 42,500, maintenance, which is the treatment, 22,000, stump removal, 10,000.
Wasn't that a $57,000 figure we're looking
Well,
at?
it
Or
was a
that's what it's all
reduction.
comprised of?
77,750 is what they were requesting. The last year it was 20,000. So the reduction, the increase was $57,000.
And out of that 22 was for the ash borer problem.
Okay. So 22 for the treatment, not
Correct.
57.
Correct. There's other, well, and we'll come back to it, but,
Last year?
I'm sorry?
We did it last year?
No,
2
no,
years?
2 years
Is
ago.
it 2 years ago?
Yeah.
I don't know if we're in a position to change at this point, but I think they're gonna have to get an overall reduction in operating costs. So the 22,000 sounds like it's something that has to stay in, but we'll have to look at the other line items to see,
Well, I
put
think
them
in
priority.
finance, we talked about the 125 trees for
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's got- yeah,
$43,000.
I think
I don't know
that's-
what
How does
We're
that
not
compare
that
to
out.
Home Depot sent us.
well, we can't necessarily knock out what they want to buy, we just can knock down the overall number.
Okay, that number, just so you know, the 42,500 does not simply include the cost of the tree, it includes transportation, it includes planting, it includes the entire package from the,
Maybe for,
and I'm not saying that we absolutely have to do that, but I do want you to know that that number is not simply the tree itself.
I understand.
I want to get maybe a sense from the citizens. As of now, the budget is up $1,013,129.90. All things being equal, assuming that our revenues are the same as last year, the tax increase will be $269 on the average house. Is that a number that the citizens would be comfortable with? You can say no. Okay.
Is it difficult?
I'll say no, and I'm on the council.
I know. No, I'm going to put it out there because that's always at the end game here. And when we go through things like this, we have to come back and then set further priorities. That's all I'm telling you. We've got a long way to go if we look at that 260 down to something. Over the past few years, we've been under $50, and last year we had 0. So I don't know if a $269 tax increase would bode well with the public. Now,
Just for reference, every $38, to reduce that 261, every $38, you'll need $145,000 in additional revenue or a reduction in your budget.
so always think of that 145,000
Those are two
chunk.
important numbers, 145,000 and 38 to keep in mind. And that's on the typical home.
I think it-
On a personal note, I can't focus in on an actual number. Commendations to the council for a zero increase. I had thought about it briefly. I said, I don't know how they're going to keep it very low for 2 years in a row, realistically, with everything else going on in the world, or county or state. What gets me are the 2/3 that we pay in school taxes, which we can't really do much about. So I'm just venting, really can't give you anything objective for personal.
Thank you. Yes.
Everybody just a beautiful town. I want our services to continue. It is a little bit of a high increase, but I don't want to see the town go down.
Just for context, that would be maybe the second highest increase we've ever had. The highest was $375 in 2009. Yes.
I want to focus a little more on this than the $200. I think the $200 is eventually going to change as we go along. And it's made up of items similar to this. This is like a decision that was made basically to cut a $57,000 out of the budget. I don't have any problem with that. But I do have a problem with, if we have an invested amount in the trees so far, and it's $22,000 that's needed to maintain that, I think that should be thought about a little bit more. From the conversation that you folks had, I don't think you have a clear understanding of all that from the Shade Tree Commission.
Al, I think what I tried to say was that I think that's the one item we have to keep in. But like every other department, basically we give them an allocation. And if we have to reduce it, we have to reduce the total number. It would be up to the Shade Tree Commission to decide how they would want to distribute those funds. That goes for all the departments. So we don't necessarily have to make the priority decision that we don't want them to plant trees. But if we go from a policy standpoint saying that we can't sustain a $57,000 increase, we're only getting the $22,000 extra because of the ash problem, then they have to decide how they want to allocate the balance.
Okay, I appreciate that, I understand that, and maybe that's the way to go with it. But you did get into some details when you were conversing among yourselves about this. And I think that you have to take into consideration, if we don't do something about the ash, then the DPW is going to have to take down a lot of trees. And that's a cost to us.
I don't think anybody's saying that we're not going to do something about the ash. We're going to give them the money, and it's going to encompass the money for the ash. But then if they want to allocate it to planting trees instead of the ash, we have no say in that. It's a commission, and we can't control their budget allocation. We'll give them $30,000 and do what you will with it. They should give $22,000 priority to the ash, no question about it. But we can't control that. We can just allocate the funds, and then we have to look at everything else there.
Ellen wants to say something, but just to add another piece of information, the Shade Tree budget is an undulating budget because they don't plant every year, and previously we got grant money to plant. So to say that we're simply reducing them back to what they were is a bit of a misnomer, because their budget is high and then low and then high and then low, because they don't plant every year, because it's not just the tree, it's all the incidentals connected to the tree, and that's why they don't do it every year. We're reducing it right now, and this is why I just stopped the council, to $20,750, which is a $57,000 reduction. And the justification, it says reduce back to previous year, but that would cut out all tree planting, that would cut out ash. And if we're going to put the ash back in, then we're not increasing it to 30, we'd be increasing it to 42. And I'm at this point, I'm not advocating for anything. At this point, I'm just advising the council. And I think Al is right. There are other places we're going to be reducing it. Personally, I think we need to remove the additional rec person, because we won't have the community center built this year. But that's just me. Others on the council might feel differently. But I think, this is absolutely a debate we need to have. Maybe we don't need, maybe we want to put off the reduction. I might move that instead reducing 57, we reduce it down to 20, we reduce it down to 42 at this time, and we might need to come back to it and say, we just don't have it, and we have to reduce it again. But I don't think we want to reduce it to 20. I would advocate for reducing it to 42 instead of 20.
I appreciate, Tom, but I think the Finance Committee was very prudent. I think you have to start somewhere, and starting at last year's number is a logical place to
And we
start.
had no other information.
Yes,
So
and then I think-
we were provided no information. It was a blank
And,
piece of paper.
I'm not doubting you guys. You didn't have that information.
So that's why we're asking now, because we didn't have the
But we
information
go-
when we made the decision. We had no idea. It was just we need $57,000 extra. And we said, well, what is that about? And we went back to the piece of paper that they're supposed to submit, and the comments was blank. There's nothing there. Give us 50,000 extra. So we said, well, no, until you justify it. So it's not that we're trying to cut something out that is necessary. We just didn't know what it was.
We go through this every year, like every account, and someone will be able to advocate that should be a priority. That's obviously the challenge here. So that's why I always try to focus on the big picture first, see where we want to go overall, and then whatever money we have left, then we can decide how it gets allocated. But, I'm okay with the council's suggestion. That's what he wanted to do on this one, but, I'll remind everybody, $1 million is to get down to probably under 200, which is what we normally would have. So you're looking at probably $800,000 reductions or increases in revenue.
Mayor,
When this first came up, the Emerald Ash Board, we had asked whether the county was doing shared service with all the municipalities, and they said no. And now that this is going to become a recurring maintenance issue, I wonder if we should revisit that request back with the county or the Riverside Cooperative to see if we can get some economies of scale for that treatment.
There was no interest the last time we brought it to the Riverside Cooperative.
Should we make another request to the county to see if there would include this as a shared service?
Well, I would ask if you do bring it up to the Riverside and ask the other towns if they're doing this every other year, like,
Now,
to recommend it.
this is a maintenance issue now. This is
Well,
not a-
yeah, but if the other towns aren't aware of that,
Right.
then maybe they'll,
Maybe they'll revisit it
Yeah.
if there's some opportunity to save through sharing service.
because I agree, we don't, that's something that's being a penny wise, pound foolish if we don't do something like that. I agree.
So I make a motion to change the reduction from 22, amount to 2,750 to 42,750 for the time being. And the council, I recommend the council revisit this as we get later in the process.
That's a motion?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, Alan.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. These are the tax
You
rates.
think you'll give me a different man?
Mayor,
We
you
do.
mentioned the tax rates. These are the increases over the last several years for the municipal. I haven't filled in the rest of the schools and county, but these are your increases over the last several years based on these municipal rates over here.
So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. At the last 6 years, we were 1, 2, 3, 4 at a tax point below. The tax point is the $38 for 145.
Okay, like I said before, I appreciate some discussion on the roads. We do have the open space that I'd like you to look at because Recreation has some open space requests, and there may be some other areas on this that you want to focus on this morning.
Mayor?
I just want to make an overall comment. Now remember that the amount from capital that goes in the budget is composed of two parts. The larger items which we intend to bond for, we have to put 5% down payment on that bond. That goes into the budget. For smaller items, typically under 10,000 or so, Alan, maybe, we try to
In a gray area as to whether they're bonded.
we try to put that in as direct purchase, so that gets dollar for dollar added to the budget. With the bonding, over the last couple of years, I think Alan has done a prudent thing also, is generally when we set the budgets, we sort of forget some of the other soft costs that go along with it, sometimes extra engineering and/or legal. So we do put a little bit extra in terms of the bond amount to cover those possibilities. So that being said, last year we held what we call the CIF, which is the totals of these are to about 100 and was 112,000 last year. So, and there's two things here. One is what the impact on the current budget. The second part's going to be what will the impact of additional bonding be on future debt. So it's two parts. So basically, right now we're at 194. So to bring that down, remember, it's not so easy because a lot of it's based on a 5% set aside for the bonds. And so it takes a lot of reducing to get that number down. But again, that's a crucial number in the budget. Okay, Alan.
Mayor?
Yes.
So DPW is my liaison, and I spoke to them about their capital budget. I was there for about an hour and a half. I spoke with Jason, Rick, and Chris, who is the acting superintendent. And I talked about their budget, and they are looking for pretty much all of it right now. But we spoke specifically about the roads. And they were, all three of them, emphatic that we had, in their opinion, underfunded road resurfacing for the last 2 years.
Tom, could I just refer to the group to some
Absolutely,
exhibits
please
which
do.
will help you with your
Yeah.
explanation? In your book, you've got C1. That's probably the very first one. And there are several pages there related to the road resurfacing program. Go all the way to the capital. You gave you cash this year. So C1. The first page you have is a horizontal spreadsheet. You always have a yellow there. This is the calculation that I do to come up with the $365,000 that I think these roads are looking at. So, frankly, the borough engineer and DPW sometimes take exception to my calculation, but at least it's a number that we have out there for these different roads. The second page is the 2019 paving list, and this will give you the streets that DPW has looked at. This is per the Department of Public Works. So you know this information came from them. It tells you when it was last paved, the from and to, and then the other statistics that we need to make a calculation on the cost. The third page, I guess there's some drafting comments, and then there's a column of numbers that says road resurfacing, and this is what we put in the budget, our capital budget, going back many, many years in terms of our road program. And one thing I'm very proud of is that this mayor, council, and the citizens have always allocated something to keep our infrastructure up. So it may have varied in terms of peaks and valleys, but there's always been a commitment to keep our roads paved and in decent shape. But this might help you also in terms of coming up with an amount. Now, typically, you've either looked at the roads and said, these are the roads we want to do, and here are the priorities, or you've given an allotment to the borough engineer and the Department of Public Works and said, you have to work within $200,000, $100,000, $300,000. The last thing I wanted to say was that in 18 and 17, we were able to supplement the request that we had in capital with some old ordinances. So we were able to expand the road program a little bit beyond what was in the budget. But those capital ordinances don't exist anymore. I've taken a look at those, and there's no funding, say, from the 2016 road resurfacing program that's left that we could reallocate. That's been done in 17 and 18. So with that, I'll turn it back to Councilman Papaleo for his report.
So, and I spoke to them, I said, listen, the capital just has too much money in it right now. I was very clear about that. I said, if you just look at, you know, what you're asking for roads, what you're asking for equipment, what the fire department's asking for equipment, what the police department's asking for equipment, it's not feasible. And when we talked about roads, they gave me some pushback on this. And they said the last 2 years, and it would appear the last 3 years, has been, in their opinion, we've underfunded it. Now, I know from my conversations with John Lynch over the last couple of years that he wanted for the council to commit to a guaranteed amount each year so that they could have a dependable system or plan for maintaining the roads. And I shared that with the council and the budget committee last year when I made this similar report. They're saying that they think the budget for the roads at this point desperately needs between $350,000 and $450,000. And I said, well, I don't think we'll be able to do $450,000. And I was honest with them on that. I don't know if we can do $350,000, but I did reflect with them, and we did discuss that if we look at what the residents want, and going to Citizen Esposito's comment, they want a town that looks presentable. And if we look at the compliments we get more compliments about the DPW than we get about any other department or agency or commission or committee in the town. People want to know that their roads are in good shape. They want to know that the leaves will be picked up. They want to know that the snow will be plowed. These are the things that they see on a day-to-day basis. I'm not advocating necessarily for $350,000 or $450,000 or $250,000, but I do think that both the residents and the DPW have a very strong mutual interest in that we maintain the current state of the roads. I know that when I drive through Teaneck and Hackensack, as I'm driving there on the way to work, I think to myself, who the hell is running this town? Because some of the roads are horrendous. We have, and I believe, it is my belief, that we have addressed the horrendous roads in our town. We have no more horrendous roads. But what we budget will have an effect on whether those hot-marked roads return. And I also would remind the Budget Committee and the Council that many of the complaints we got was before Fifth Avenue was paved, because it was in terrible shape until it was repaved, and residents would constantly comment on that, and that's what they say. Again, this budget cannot go as it is. The mayor is 100% right. We cannot give them an increase of $200-something. But I don't know if we want to drastically cut this, and so I present that for what it's worth and for whatever debate may arise.
And I agree. I come from a public works background, so it's something I'm deeply experienced. But we only were able to give them $400,000 twice in the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years.
Yeah.
So to say that we haven't given them $400,000, we only gave them twice. So that's the highest it was, and that was because after those tough years to get the budget sort of back on track, we certainly didn't have the money. When we started having a little bit extra, we did allocate a lot of the capital to that in 14 and 15. Again, that being said, it's one of the largest line items, and yeah, I don't know what the final number should be at this point, but yeah, it's going to have to be reduced with everything else. Yes.
In the past, the council's discussed, and we actually did 1 year, alternatives to traditional milling and paving.
Mm-hmm.
Did that come up in your conversation at all? Did they have a feeling, a recommendation?
No, we did not discuss.
I was not a fan of how that resulted. I just
yeah.
think we should know if they
Yeah,
brought that up.
it didn't work well.
Yeah, I agree with you, but I was wondering
Historically,
if anything has changed, if the technology's gotten better.
Mm-hmm.
We did not have that discussion. I did have a discussion with John about it when I first became liaison. It was a brief discussion. He was not a fan of it for a couple of reasons. I don't think it was a great success. I think the mayor could probably comment better on that.
Can you just fill us in on what you're talking about? I don't know.
So it was like
It was called micro paint, micro seal.
microsurfacing?
Microsurfacing, and basically it was almost like an emulsion kind of process that was supposed to buy you some extra life out of a road. We did it in a high traffic area, medium traffic area, low traffic area, and it didn't perform well anywhere.
I was just wondering if it
Yeah.
improved.
The other question I have with regard to the roads, Alan, is, and I don't know whether these are affected, and it's a separate discussion with the council another time. on my street, there's probably 10 trenches from various utility companies that settle. You know, we don't have a mechanism to go back to the utility companies to get them to fix that. I don't know how much of this contributes, but I know in my day job, that is our mayor and council's number one concern, because that's what contributes to a lot of the streets being perceived as bad, because there's a lot of bumps from these trenches. So I don't know how much of a big problem it is, but I guess, I think, I talked to Mr. Costa a while back, I think we need to revamp the way we do road openings and who does the inspections also.
Mayor, yes, we're developing information on that. With all due respect, I'll tell you what I told Mayor Rigby. Your street doesn't get repaved until you're out of office.
Oh, I'm not, and I'm not advocating that.
I know you're not.
I would, if it was on the list, I would ask him to change it. But I'm just using it as an example because I see it, and I said, I know it annoys me personally, so I'm sure it annoys other people when they go down their streets and they think it's, you know, it's utility companies. It's not necessarily, you know, we do have some roads which are in bad shape just because of age or weathering or freeze thaw, but again, a lot of them are trenches also, so.
We brought that to the sewer subcommittee and to the borough engineer's attention as well as myself, and I know we're developing some information on it.
And we have a meeting on Wednesday anyway.
Next Wednesday.
Sewer sub, okay.
Do we have a flat cost, like is there always down for some state contract agreement that says we get asphalt for $9 a foot?
We bid that, so, and basically the bids are bare bone. We just do the minimum. It's basically mill the street, pave the street, and any ancillary work that's required with that. We don't do any curb work or sidewalk, which is stuff that, you know, we would like to do, but now you're talking about probably exponentially increasing these budgets to take care of things like that. So,
I was just looking at the-
but typically, I think the last I saw was, you know, the last bid I got, I think we were paying $85 a ton for asphalt, and it's about $3 or $4 per square yard for milling.
Well, I was just looking at more about, it's the DPW, right? So Alan comes up with these square footage numbers, let's say roughly. Is the DPW using the same number as Costa? Because I can tell you over the years, Costa numbers are horrible. Absolutely horrible. So he's always underestimated what the costs are to our town for everything. I've been on this budget for many, many years, and that guy's never been right in an estimate. So if you have DPW, you know, saying, hey, it's $20 a foot, and Costa comes in and goes, oh, $10 a foot, don't worry about it. You got a disconnect. How many feet you're getting?
Yeah, I didn't add up the tonnage, but
Go into that.
Yeah.
When do we get to rebid Costa's services? Is there ever?
he was reappointed at reorganization. He's appointed every year to year.
By you guys?
Yes.
Okay.
The spreadsheet, Mayor, this was done back in November. I used $77.50 based on a prior Riverside Cooperative bid. But as you heard from the Mayor, that price has probably been moderated since November. So,
Well, but Alan, I'm coming up pretty close to what you just wanted, so.
on surface course, 2 inches, I used a little over $77. Based on the numbers from DPW. And by the time we get out, who knows what that price will be. We tried, that's why the cooperative is asking for their information by early February. We get out the bid over the winter. The companies are still a little bit hungry, and we hope to get it before the spring so that everybody get their roads replaced, certainly before school starts in the fall. You know, many of us like to do it over the summer so it doesn't interfere with parents from school. But if this price could increase, which means we would have to do less streets than what, you know, whatever money we get.
Alan, is that the $360,000?
Right.
Something like that? Is that purely based on the $77 revenue?
Not, I mean, there's other things that go into this. There's the milling of the road, taking up the asphalt. You know, there's other factors in there. And
That's the big one.
that is the biggest number. The mayor mentioned that this is kind of a bare bones approach. The Riverside Cooperative will try to put other things in there that other towns wanted. Some wanted sewer repairs, or TV work for the sewers. curbs replacement. We found that the resurfacing companies were going out subcontracting this to bring in these other professional services, and then it just increased the cost to everybody. There was, of course, overhead for it, and profit built into those numbers. So we've come back to trying to keep it to pure, take up the asphalt and put down the asphalt.
So the bid from the cooperative is for the entire project?
Yes.
They do, it's not just for the cost of the asphalt.
No, there's manholes that have to be raised.
They are bidding
on behalf of us and several other towns.
all the roads in those towns that put in and say, I want to do this amount of streets and roads.
Right.
Okay. And then they bid it to a contract, and the contract comes to the town.
And Alan and I have had disagreements about this over the years. I don't see a big cost savings with us doing it through the cooperative. In fact, sometimes I think it's a hindrance because we're at the mercy of their schedule, and you need, and I say Mr. Costa has been effective in this regard, is at least trying to, rattle the cage to get our roads done. Typically, you want to get them done in the quiet times, summer, but everybody wants it that way. The last thing we want are, and we've had this happen a couple of years ago, people might remember on the council, they decided to start paving the day school opened. Do you remember this? And that's something you definitely don't want. But the problem is not knowing how much money we're able to allocate. We're not really able to put together any bids and specs, say, in November, bid it out over January, and be the first ones ready to go March 15th. So there's a catch-22 there also. So. But the cooperative isn't bad. I just don't think it's significantly different than what you get bidding it separately.
We discussed that, but the cycle you have to get on, you have to double up one year.
Yeah.
Put the money, so the money's in place so that your roads are ready to go. So that's a very,
correct.
that's a very tough thing to do, is to double up in 1 year.
That includes the money for the police officers to go on. That's additional money.
Depending on the street, you might need police outside duty. You might need police outside duty, depending on the street, the situation, how much traffic, and things like that.
And the chief does try. We try to use on-duty officers to the extent possible. It's not like we have, 10 officers on duty that you can pull 2 of them to do traffic detail, but we do have officers dedicated to traffic detail, so there's no reason sometimes where they can't do traffic control for these projects. It's usually only during the paving anyway. They pave, the milling goes fairly quickly, and you just want to make sure you have traffic control when there's paving going on, so people don't go there, and it's a slower process. So you might have more time, you have longer time for more people to want to access the area.
So, Mayor, it doesn't sound like we have a motion on a number.
I think so.
We're going to make a motion at this time, and with the recommendation that the budget committee review this, for $300,000 instead of $365,231.48.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Thank you, Mayor.
Can I ask one more question on this? You ought to make a motion. The streets that are designated, is that came from the DPW, and so that's what has to be done this year?
They have
From
a,
your survey?
yes, they have basically a rating system and a survey for every street. And they try to put the ones that are in the worst condition first.
Okay, so if you gave them less money, you gave them half of what they asked for, they would have to take those streets and take the worst of those.
Yes, and generally the order they give them in is typically their order of priority.
When they're replacing the assholes.
Yeah, and we really, we don't get involved with the actual designation of which streets get paid. That's completely under DPW's purview and Mr. Costa.
CSCDG replaced the assholes with plastic flags, which is very, very reliable. Are they paving it up afterwards?
That was the point I was trying to make before. PSE&G will do the least they need to do. And typically, what most towns would require is they got to backfill their trench, they got to compact it, you gotta pave it. You gotta let it sit 2-3 months to make sure it settles, then it's supposed to come back into final paving. That's the issue, is what's considered final paving. I'll tell you, Mayor and Council Fort Lee asked me to draft an ordinance where we were requiring them going from curb to curb, block to block. And boy, did I get my head handed to me by PSE&G. And they went to the mayor and said, fine, you do that, we're not doing any work in your town. You know,
Wow.
we'll do emergency work, but we're not gonna do anything so actually, we just had this discussion the other day in Fort Lee. What I recommended is we're trying to now maybe do up to the middle of the road, or wherever the trench is, at least that, and then at least maybe 5 or 10 feet past the trench. And it would have to be mill paved or infrared, so it's a patch. Yeah. But if they do a long, I'll say this, if they, like in Fort Lee, they replaced, I think it was 7 miles of main. They ripped up 50 streets. In that case, because of the extent of the damage they did wind up paving a lot of streets. But that was a very rare condition. Trying to get them to do these little ones are harder. And the other thing that happens a lot of times is that if it's not an emergency, if it's for new construction or say it's not even PSG, it's a sewer or whatever, you know, those costs get passed back. I'm sorry?
They're still working this year on the...
In Fort Lee, they're not. No, we're done.
They're done?
We're done.
Okay.
But it was 3 years of crazy. But the other thing is, you know, if it's for water, sewer, whatever, those costs tend to get passed back onto the homeowner. So, you know, we don't want to have them necessarily having to pay for their own paving either. One of the ideas we're floating in Fort Lee was that, and PS&G sort of was amenable to something like this. They'd rather pay a high annual fee for their openings and then do the minimal, like they said, for the paving. So, but what that number should be, I don't know. You know, in Fort Lee, I'm guessing it's probably a couple $100,000.
Well, the roads are fine, but if you go down on the lake, from Lakeview on the Valley Road, the first block on the right, what's the name of it? It goes towards the hill.
Yeah.
On the sidewalk on the right-hand side, there's so much water coming from the houses on the sidewalk, it's icy.
Yeah, that's
so
yeah.
dangerous.
So,
I don't know what
I
happened.
could briefly address that. DPW has also brought to my attention, I was going to bring to the council's attention at our next council meeting, this is a budget committee meeting, I wasn't going to, that there have been both new constructions, and Brinsky is one of the streets that this is occurring, as well as residents throughout the town who have their sump pumps feeding straight to the street, cutting through our curb, cutting through our right-of-way. And this is now creating an icing hazard. And DPW is trying to address it, but it's their position, and I would think it's our position, but the council has to discuss it and maybe ask for Mr. Sarlo to review this and Mr. Costa to review this. Should we be changing our ordinance in regarding to sump pumps? Is there a grandfather issue? And because that order is coming from sump pumps, because as everyone's noticed, New Jersey's turned into Washington State. It rains here, soon I expect to see redwoods growing. I mean, it's just tremendous amount of water and precipitation that's been coming. And with these flash freezes that we've been getting, and with sump pumps running, it's happening everywhere. It's becoming dangerous, and it undermines the roads. So it is connected to this issue, because as the water, and this is happening on Manning, this is happening on Voorhees, this is happening on Zarinsky, this is happening down there, especially where anywhere where which used to be wetlands and we filled in, well, historically, every time it's filled in.
Well, the table water is very high.
Very high.
Yes.
And so you have this icing problem on sidewalks, you have it on driveways.
You can't hook up the sump pumps into the sewer line, so...
No.
You can't do that.
Well, so it's supposed to go into a...
No. You can, if there's a catch basin in the vicinity, you can tie it into that, and it gets into the storm system. Problem is sometimes that there may not be a catch basin for 100 feet. So you're not going to go to a resident and say, okay, I want you to install a catch basin and then run 100 feet of pipe and
Do you
pay $15,000.
Do you think it has to do with the sump pump at all? Because my house...
No, it is definitely.
No, because my house has 2 sump pumps and we don't have any ice, and next door to me, there's a ton of
It
ice.
depends on the streets, and it's usually on the flatter areas with the happening. Because typically, if like, I'm on a hill, if I had a sump pump that wasn't go down the hill, it's not going to freeze anywhere. It's on some of these flatter streets where there's a problem. We do get a lot of these sometimes on COs, certainly on new construction, because we would not permit them to connect it unless there was a reason. Yeah, I said, for new construction, I don't have an issue telling the contractors to put catch basins in. I've done it. And extend, 100 feet or whatever. They want an approval. If there's conditional approval, that's something that the borough usually can impose on them.
The catch basin is put in the middle of the...
Yes, exactly. But then you have to pipe it to the nearest line or another catch basin. So that's where the cost is.
Well, they can put a dry well and then, drain.
They could, but that's, I don't know, to Tom's point, people can say, I've been doing this for 50 years. You can't make me do it. And we probably can't. The dry wells do come in, like I said, for new construction or significant alterations. But again, the problem with that, it depends where you are in town. If you're, up by where I am or up by Fifth, your water table's okay. You can put a dry well in. But if I'm down this side, it could be either. You're gonna get more clay type soils down here, silty more soils down this way as you're close to the river, higher water table, so they may not be as effective. But the other thing that we can do, and I believe it would be under it's under the building code, they can discharge it onto their own property. Now, depending on the condition of their lawns and the underlying soils, does it absorb, does it not absorb? That is something we can do in certain cases. Cases where there's icing, that's a public safety issue. And not that I necessarily want to see this happen, but code enforcement can go to those people and give them a summons for not maintaining it. They go to court, and the judge would tell them to remedy it. However they need to remedy it, they'll remedy it. And I said then the first choice would be, all right, let's try to discharge it on the property. That doesn't work because it's going to run off anyway. And the only connection is...
though. I mean, I've got neighbors here and here, and there's water everywhere,
You can see it.
You can see it
usually
with
see
the
it.
lights here.
Especially I was driving down, if you go down Elm towards the middle school, there's a couple of patches over there, and you can see...
Valley Road.
It's flat areas. It's flat areas. And,
Valley Road is wet.
and Valley Road is a difficult case. It's
You can
flat.
see on some of them, you can't see on all of them. You have to put something in place that covers everybody.
Well,
You just can't
you'll
put
see,
something.
you can see the sump pumps coming out. That's what
You find where the source is coming from.
Yeah, you
It's
can see
not
the
hard.
hole is on the
But
curb.
you see it pump out of the...
It's on the curb, it's a
house.
hole.
Yeah, and it's usually the thickest right near
All
the,
the way to the curb.
near where the outlet
Then
is.
you'll not see it, which is a smart way.
Can you supposed to be improved, like putting it like a catch pipe?
We could, again, that's a very expensive...
Well, it's going to be a lot of money, of
Yeah.
course, yeah.
It's easier, again, if you're, say, north of Howland. We have a more robust infrastructure. Down by Valley, which must be some of the older areas, there's fewer storm sewers, and probably because of construction and the water issues.
But then
And there's
people
less-
in construction, as you said, don't allow them to have basement, because that's where it comes from,
But there's foundation drains too. So even if I had a shallow foundation and I have a foundation drain and that collects water, it has to be pumped. So, it's,
Here are 2 more items on our list that have to do with stormwater and sewer waters.
Well-
Sewer subsidies is an overall allocation.
Elizabeth Street, that should come out because we're not paying for that.
Yeah, this way.
So that's
Is there
kind
a
of
motion to do that?
Can I have a motion to remove Elizabeth Street stormwater extension? That's going to be part of an agreement we have with, well,
Here's the problem. Will they do it as a private off-site improvement, or are they expecting the borough to award the contract and then be reimbursed?
no, they were going to do it as an off-track improvement,
Okay, then we could take it out.
yes.
Second.
All in favor? And then Alan, my question with the storm sanitary, we've been trying to do this over the last few years. Correct me if I'm wrong, we probably spent down a lot of what we had allocated, is that a fair statement? Or we still have money left?
Yeah, there is some money left. Even we're done with the year. I don't have an exact number of how much is left. I can get that to you the next time.
Could I be inclined to bring that down to 100? Would you be okay with that now, if I just make that recommendation?
Yeah, I think that would be okay for now. If somebody.
Yeah, can I have a motion to reduce the storm sewer improvement from 190,000 to 100,000?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
So that means the overall would go down 90
Yes.
to 12.
Mhm.
The storm's been high for the last few years, right?
Well, we try to allocate at least $100,000 a year.
Hasn't it been a lot more than that, though, the last few years?
Not as a direct allocation, no. We basically tried to build up a reserve. So
Okay.
if we have a major project that comes up, or even something like a major repair, we don't have to treat it as an emergency, which we have to put into the budget. And it also helps us with some of the longer-term planning. It's almost like something we could do for the roads. I'm thinking about it, but maybe not today. We want to, as a separate, say we can allocate $50,000 into a generic paving, so it's almost like a trust fund that'll build up over time, and then we can...
Then we could be doing January up to date?
Yeah, but, it would take a while to get to that, but...
We had the,
Yeah, I guess we'll have to flush that a little bit more.
$90,000.
90,000 doesn't reduce it all that much.
$4,000. $4,500.
Well, also, didn't the Elizabeth Street come out?
Yes,
So that's,
yes, yes. Typically, we wind up falling in a budget increase of around between 1.5% and 1.8%. That's what historically we have. Okay, Alan, just to move this along.
Mary, want to report on the fire department?
No, I just want to go through a couple of things first. The things that I think can probably go to, why can't we go in order? No, because I want to remove things which are likely to go to open space, so.
You want me to do?
You want to take a
Oh, you want to-
look at open
okay.
space availability?
And
Rec is good.
In your correspondence,
Okay.
it's the last piece of correspondence 21. Put it up on the screen.
I think Ellen, update.
Just the overall, so you can see what we're talking about here. And Shade Tree came in late Friday afternoon, so I've updated the screen here. Yours are not updated for the Shade Tree. So let me just explain what we're looking at on this schedule. This is so we have, this is based on last year's assessed value. One cent on the assessed value gives you $145,904.21. Those are the taxes that were raised in 2019 that will be available to be spent. These are prior year, what we call unallocated amounts that have not been set up for anything in particular, which would be available for you as well. So the total don't do that, don't do that.
it's this also.
Okay. So the total available is $164,761. These are the requests that have come in thus far for Monday night's consideration. Beautification and the correspondence has already been given to the mayor and council to do various things in our public parks. $4,500. DPW for some of their park maintenance, $9,500. We don't get it out of open space. This has to come back into the budget. 9/11 Memorial Gardens, $6,500 for maintenance fees there. These are the shade tree requests. Some are help, tree planting, arbor guards, mulch, for the arboretum. Gibson, these are all their requests. These are the Recreation Commission requests. Park, they have a employee who will do park maintenance, $5,000 not to exceed. There's other types of park maintenance in their request, field maintenance, some projects, the AEDs and the lightning protection. Those are their requests, $1,000 for the green team. Environmental Protection Commission hasn't submitted anything, so the requests are now at $168,000. We're over the available amount at this point, without looking at what's still in the pot from prior years, $3,253. Some of the rec items are in capital, and some are not. Some of you may want to look at capital and put into this. So just a quick look at what's out there right now. This is an analysis of all the different years that we have so far. So the Rec Commission has $159,000 that's in old money. Some of that is now allocated, I'll show that to you in a minute at the end here. Some of that is allocated for a match for the County Open Space Project to redo the basketball court at Brookside, as well as basketball and hockey down at Memorial Park. 9/11 had $295, DPW $6,300 from 2018. There's still bills coming in this year prior to for next year. Shade Tree still has $11,000 left. And you can see $5,000 of that is for salary and wages this year that hasn't been charged out for whatever reason. Beautification, $2,900. Environmental protection, nothing. Cherry Blossom Park, $36. The Historic Commission, $750 is still out there on an old ordinance. The Green Team still has $1,600 out there. This is the unauthorized that you saw below. And then these totals. This totals $200,000. Let me just see if I have a total on this. This is the grant match amount that comes out of that rec amount. So close to $100,000 of the $150 that you saw in the rec is dedicated to a match for the county grant.
I'm sorry, how much was this?
$98,000 out of the rec's $150. It's dedicated to the county open space match.
Our application was for 98?
No, it was $60,300, but we filed a subsequent application. We don't know that we can get both parts done for what they allocated, so we'll have to see what the bids are, but this is there to go for a second application if necessary.
And then in terms of the capital list, the only one I see that might be moved is the drainage at Cherry Blossom. There's nothing else really there, I think, that would apply to
The Cherry Blossom drainage.
That's the only one I see.
Well, there are other ones under recreation.
Well, but they're not, I don't think they're open space items, are they?
The AEDs,
Could I
Yes.
chime in? Okay. So, I don't know if anybody looked at their packets that they got last night, but there's the detailed explanation from Carolyn for her open space requests. But in speaking with her, the paint, replace dryers, dispensers at Memorial and KBG, that has to happen. Right now, there's no soap dispensers, there's no dryers that are operational, what have you. But that 10 from capital could all go into open space, couldn't it, Alan?
Yes.
Okay, so we can remove that from capital and move that into open space?
Yes, you have to fit it, within.
Yeah, we'll have to make some other adjustments.
You want to do them as a package?
Yeah, okay, so speaking with Carolyn, that capital request for 10,000 could go into open space. She felt that, and Ken, jump in as a commissioner, the ADA access ramp, she thought perhaps could be removed and be considered as a Eagle Scout or a Gold Award project, and something that the Scouts could do, and we could take that out of capital.
That's only
It's
4,700
right,
blinded.
but if we needed to, we
I
could
would just be
remove
concerned
that.
if there's a liability issue that we
Okay.
need to get that fixed.
Yeah, I wouldn't touch that one, right?
Yeah.
Especially with
All right, that was just her.
No, I appreciate it, but
The AEDs, this needs to remain in capital. This is the purchasing of 3 new items. And then the recreation software, this is Community Pass. Also in your packet is an explanation that you can review, but she and the commission felt very strongly that this will improve efficiency. This is the best software application considering the schools use it, the swim club already uses it. It's going to do much more than just online registration and payment. It's going to be a facility management tool, a class scheduling and allow her to track attendance, and a league management tool. So
That's only 6,000,
right.
Alan, how come it has a 313,000?
Excuse me?
The capital schedule, the recreation software, it's 5,900, but it's showing a down payment of $313.
I thought she said there was
Yes.
a $1,000 down payment.
$6,000 down payment, 5% down payment?
Mm-hmm. It's $300?
Yeah, roughly. 326.
Oh, very good. Right, I must have typed it. You're right. I'm sorry.
So I guess the recommendation would be to remove the paint replace dryers and move that to open space and leave everything else in capital.
Second.
Wait,
Ellen, do you know if they've gotten the biggest discount they can since so many areas are using the same software?
I don't know. You spoke with her also, right? She said...
Yeah, but I didn't think to ask her that when I spoke to her.
I had actually asked her that question, whether or not there was an opportunity to have one umbrella
Yeah.
with them. She can explore that and see whether this number can come down, but it's...
I could.
Yeah.
And this purchase has a lot of legal hurdles that we're overcoming because she'd like to have this in place for this year's registration. So there's a timeline here.
Okay.
And with a
So maybe
cooperative
next time.
group, unless there's a state contract on this or a cooperative price in place,
It
to
ain't
start to
gonna
try and
happen.
get towns
Okay.
together.
I know,
to
I don't
do
think
this.
you can-
Not gonna happen.
You're not going to get much.
Renewal, maybe.
We're working hard to try
Okay.
and get this in place for this year.
I'm going to just go on the record. I think the Cherry Blossom Park should be moved to open space. For the main reason was that when
Where's that?
Under buildings and
in the
grounds?
building grounds, because several years ago, when we were looking for open space projects for the county, I had commissioners and former directors sit in front of me and told me that Cherry Blossom Park was the #1 priority park in this town. If that's the #1 priority park in this town, then that should take priority funding. And I don't think it should be in the capital. It should be something that the commissioners will have to deal with under the open space. That's just my personal opinion.
So if I could continue with my conversation. So you'll notice, again, I don't know if you have your packets from last night in front of you, but the commission requests for park and field projects includes some renovation to the KBG field house. Reason being is there was a long conversation at the last commission meeting about focusing attention on improvements and renovations to KBG to make it the home playing field for
How
Regal.
much is that?
$39,000.
That's not in the budget yet.
It's in open space request.
See,
But
to me,
Ed's
to me,
point-
that might be better in capital.
So, but to your point of flipping the Cherry Hill piece to open space, this is a really important project for the borough of River Edge to start moving towards making KBG a usable space for Regal and others. And I, for one, would not want to see us not use this money this year to move them in that direction.
But to me, that could be treated for capital.
Okay, so
and
then-
at least then it's a lesser impact this year.
Then I would make a recommendation as we're looking at capital to move that dollar amount into capital if we're going to flip the Cherry Hill and Cherry Blossom into open space.
Could we catch up on the motions? I would like one on the painting, Cherry Blossom Park, and now KBG.
So I had made the motion to remove the $10,000 from rec line C7 paint replace dryers into open space and out of capital. I would make a motion to place into capital for recreation $39,100 towards the KVG Fieldhouse exterior replacement of siding and roofing.
Is there one for Cherry Blossom Park, the open space?
That's a buildings and grounds item. Do you want that as
Yes.
the next motion?
Yeah.
All right, the motion would be to take the Cherry Blossom Park drainage, line C3 in buildings and grounds, and put that into open space.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Fire department, I'm sorry.
Can I just make one other
Yes.
note about, I know we're not talking about operating at this point, however, as part of that KVG project, it's a long-term project. Recreation would like to have some professional engineering services money in this year's budget so that they could either work with Mazer or whomever else to start looking at how they would modify the
Do
field.
they have a
About
budget they want?
$5,000.
Okay.
Mayor, if I may, we have an engineering budget. It's been looked at by the Finance Committee.
Mhm.
And while we have certain projects identified there, engineering budget has always been kind of first come, first served. So if they get going early, if they get their request in for engineering services, it should
But
come out of the
I
engineering
wouldn't
line.
have an issue if we tried to dedicate that to them,
Great.
out of the engineering. And I think engineering budget's going to come down anyway, but we'll deal with that when we get back into operating.
We could encumber some money out of the engineering line very soon, and then you could get your formal
I think that's
proposals.
important, so I think we can motion. I think we need a motion.
I'll speak with Caroline about how to go about that.
Great.
Okay, so we moved through that, and we voted on that, okay, let's see, who should go next?
Nobody will ever accuse you of being partial to me. Oh, did you want to go and I jumped in? I didn't think you wanted to.
No, I went out.
Mayor gave you enough.
No, because I wanted to get the things that can come out, and that was, I knew, that was open space, was an alternative. The other one, they can't go in open space, so that becomes more of a discussion on priorities.
Can I ask a quick question?
Yeah.
Just a kind of general question. Do you have enough money in open space to do the changes that you just?
No, they'll have to decide.
We'll have to
Yeah.
decide on
I
Monday.
mean, I will come back.
It's a public meeting on Monday, and they'll have to...
Fire department.
Thank you. Okay, when I brought the bagels this morning, the mayor and Alan already said, don't even think about a new fire truck. So, I'm not going to waste a lot of time on that.
Well,
But
no, let
I
me
would say
clarify.
that-
If we can, if it's an item that we can allocate over 3 years,
That's what I was just going to say.
maybe, depending on how it all.
In your book, and also I killed a tree by making copies of everything because I didn't think it was in your book, there's information regarding the replacing of the two trucks. They're going to retire Rescue 1 and Engine 4 and replace it with one truck. They put together a very good Q&A, and if anybody, would look it over, but I can see that at this time. And we should look into doing it over the next few years, because each year that we don't, prices go up, and it's going to have to happen. So I think it's a good idea that they're retiring two and replacing with one. The first thing is the Durango. I actually met with the chief about 3 weeks ago for about an hour and a half, and we went over everything. And then this past Wednesday, I met with the chief and the two assistant chiefs to really crunch the numbers on this. And I asked them to pick out what they absolutely needed, and replacement of the Durango. It's starting to cost a lot of money, and it's 12 years old, so that they really would like to keep in, and that's what's that, 53,000 plus
56.
Comes out to 56,180. Next, replacing the gas-powered vans. That, they said, is really a must. That's 7,200 plus that we add on here for the bond.
I think, not to interrupt, but I think the main I'm going to look at it, the rescue pumper, special operations, and the fire system.
Correct, but I'm going over to the things that
I
I
think,
really
yeah,
want. Do you want me to
well,
go?
I think those are things that we're not going to dispute at this point. I
Right.
think we'll look at the big ones
That's it,
first.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to what we really,
Mhm.
let's see what I have next. The camera, the thermal camera, that they said that they really, do need,
Did they replace those? Because we seem to be buying them every year.
I think there's a few of them, and so that they're doing one a year. I thought that was what it said.
Yeah, that information is in, the, papers that I provided you about the thermal,
Just to help,
Okay,
if I remember correctly, what they want to do is they want to put one on every vehicle.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
one
oh, yeah,
in every
yeah,
that's
yeah.
right, and so that's what
It's a
we-
small impact, I was just wondering.
It's not a big, it says they're coming to the end of service life. We replaced one last year and are proposing to replace one a year for the next 4 years.
And then the radio replacement, we do that, that's required, so that's not
Yes.
available.
Now, where are we?
The hose replacement, the nozzles, those are, and
Absolutely.
the turnout gear, pages, those are things we have to do.
Yeah.
So there's no question on those.
Before that, go back up to, the obsolete pages. That's 5,000.
Mhm.
Are you in agreement with that? They could put
Just
a little
one.
bit off of that, Mr.
A
Not a
little.
lot, just a little.
I would leave it in, to me, that's a response safety issue.
Yeah,
So
that's-
Yeah,
something-
and the turnout gear,
That's the same thing.
Same thing?
Yeah.
Okay.
And, yeah, say the nozzle, those are items that we can't.
right. Fire siren system, we go through this every year and we don't do it, so I just figured, check again.
Yeah. That should, yeah, we'll take
It's a
that.
big issue, someday it'll have to be tackled, but, and then the lengths of hose, that's a definite, that they definitely need that, that replaced. Are you doing the numbers, Alan, because I...
No, I'm not doing anything, so
Thanks.
I'll wait for a
Jump in
motion.
there.
We didn't take anything else yet.
All the-
So what are we taking out so far?
We took out $700,000 for a new truck.
No, we didn't.
Oh,
do that.
no, we didn't do that, no.
No motions on that yet.
No.
Well, that was my...
So, let's go down the line. So, they want to keep, right, for, as of now, we're going to
Yeah,
say,
the
Durango stays,
Right,
the fans have to stay, the camera stays.
correct.
Replacement of radio stays. Pagers, turnout gear, nozzles, hose stay.
Yes.
Fire system, fire sirens come out. Okay, so we're left
Is there a
now
motion
with,
on the fire system,
So moved.
fire siren system?
all in favor, any opposed? So we're back to the two, the rescue pumper and the special operations truck.
Right.
Can I ask a question about that? Wasn't some money put aside for that?
For something else,
last
yeah.
year?
For what?
We did put money away,
We're putting money,
we put money away, was that
We
the-
did.
how much we put there?
but it's not,
Not enough, obviously.
not near enough.
But you did put some money.
We did,
We did.
we did, yeah.
How much?
I don't know, I will have to check.
I have to get another book.
Um,
I hope you...
I think we need that, Alan, because we need an order of magnitude.
If you,
Yeah, no, he told me.
if you put money away, you have to use it for a number of years, right? For 3 years?
No, we're not borrowing it right now, it's just authorization, so it goes into the total, but it's not actually spent.
We didn't borrow it.
We don't borrow it yet. So basically, it's like Alan was
We
saying, you know,
borrow
first
it,
come,
we
first served,
use it.
that money's gonna be allocated to a future bond, so, it's already included.
The truck that we have put money away
And there's money we have,
last year.
we have money that is authorized, but not spent, we have money that was
The
special
authorized and, you know,
Well,
approved, and then we bond, so there's always
700,000 is the pumper, right? The truck is
Right.
185.
a mix of
right,
So we're
and
looking
then
at 185.
underneath it is
Different
the,
status.
You
Special
put
ops.
about $26,500, new chassis and refurbished rescue number one, and you felt that would be the match for a fire grant to get the rest.
Okay.
That's why you brought it down to 26,000.
right.
But they never got the grant.
No.
They applied, but they were not approved.
So right now, between those...
Was anything decided while I was out of the room?
No.
Thank you.
We're done.
You're staying on one more year.
What-
Exactly, that's what we decided.
Congratulations.
So, yeah, we rescinded your resignation.
It was unanimous.
Like to ask for another vote on that?
I will not entertain that motion.
Second.
We already voted.
Okay.
Well, we
Who's out of the
were-
room?
Yeah.
I guess, I mean, we probably can keep the operation truck in, but then significantly have to reduce the pumper amount. Or do they want to put more toward the pumper and not get the special truck this year?
They seem to, from what I remember from last year, they seem to be changing their strategy a little bit on.
Yeah, they are. They're getting the pumper instead of the rescue and engine 4.
I think,
It's in your
I think
paperwork.
they want the rescue more than they
Well-
want the operations, but I don't know.
but I don't see a problem with doing operations as of now, but I think, you know, we're not gonna be able to do the whole pumper anyway.
No.
Be down payment. I think we can keep the operation truck and at least maybe go down to, we did 26,000 last year. We might be able to do 200. That'll bring that, at least as a placeholder for now, 200 this year. That would bring us to 200, that's 10,000, so 35,000 would become 10,000 in terms of the budget.
You agree with that?
No, I'm asking,
Yeah.
that's what I'm
Yeah.
just seeing if that's something that would...
In reality, when would that mean we'd have enough to replace that rescue pumper? I mean, I guess it just depends.
Well,
But we don't have 600.
Right.
I don't know, I know, but like how
Keep
long are we
going
gonna
up
keep
each year.
kicking that?
Right.
I don't know.
absolutely,
Down the road.
but we have the DPW roof, and
I know.
I've talked to the mayor about that. I thought we could put it off, but I went down, and I don't think we can.
You know, that's been put off for 8 years.
That's been put off for 8 years. So it all depends on, you know, right now we have a lot of big items. Maybe next year we'll have fewer big items, and maybe next year we can fund the whole thing, but right now, we have to either kick out a
Right,
roof,
so
or we
that-
have to kick out something.
So that was my, I guess, to be direct, how are we coming up with that $200,000 number towards the rescue pumper if we don't have a plan for how quickly we're gonna replace that? Should we
I'm
make
just,
that?
I'm just using it as a placeholder, that's all.
The mayor's thinking of basing it on how much the impact in the budget would be.
Is there a possibility of applying for another grant going forward so that
Yeah.
But
Yes,
if we haven't
but
been successful, I don't know if
We
we'll be
have not been
successful.
successful. In fact, they were talking about trying to get a grant.
Well, we've been talking also about the possibility of maybe hiring somebody to start
Right.
writing these
The
grant
grant.
proposals.
I think New
I know you're
Milford
against
got a
it,
big-
but we
So
will talk
I-
about
Because
it.
I know, yeah.
So that New Milford grant writer is inaccessible to anybody else. It's like some special arrangement with a
No.
New Milford firefighter. He doesn't do any work for anybody else.
No.
So, because I had actually asked
I asked
about that.
also.
So I don't know if any other grant writer can figure out how to do what he
Well,
has
he
done.
did, yeah, and he got the grant.
He got like $400,000.
Well, can
Is there a way we
He
can get a
went through
copy of
Gottheimer
his
to
proposal?
apply- We went through
Why not?
Gottheimer to apply
It's
for the
Freedom of
new.
Information Act. We should
Well,
be
I
able
don't
to
know,
get a copy of it.
maybe, but I thought that we could go through Congressman Gottheimer because
Right.
he was,
Oh.
seemed to be involved in that.
Well, he
Apparently, it's not necessarily the case that there's this individual who works with New Milford exclusively and doesn't work with anybody else, and he knows the secret sauce to getting this grant.
Get his recipe.
So,
Yeah.
Let's get a FOIA out there.
Yeah.
so,
Well, I actually spoke to Gottheimer about it, and
Okay.
he told me that he would talk to the fire department, which he did, but it came down, and we didn't get it,
Oh, boy.
but it comes down to the grant writer.
And so I had a question. It says that that truck is 29 years old, and the NFPA says after 25 years it has to go out of commission. Does anyone ever get into trouble for that, or not really?
Which
No.
truck, which one is?
This is
This-
Rescue 1
Rescue
is
1.
on its 29th year,
Yeah,
and it says, NFPA says 25 years is
I think
max.
as long as it passes its inspections.
right, if they pass the inspection.
Oh,
And
okay,
What's been happening.
okay. Just checking.
But each year it costs a little bit more money
Yeah.
to keep it up to date.
Do you have a recommendation, or? I was just, as a
I
starting
know that
point.
yes,
yeah,
okay.
as a
We
starting
can always
point.
take it down if we...
Yeah, I said I don't want to go to zero yet.
Right. Right.
So that's why.
Just want to be realistic about the dollar amount to
Yes.
get us...
Yes,
to-
and I said, and I don't want to do 50,000 because I don't take 15 years to get there.
Right.
So I'm just putting that number out there for now, and,
Somebody moving it to 200,000?
What's that number?
Oh, here, it's the,
742.
this is the one they're talking about, this rescue pumper.
So moved.
in a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And we'll leave in the operations truck presently, is that consensus
Keep that in?
for now? Is that the consensus?
But what you might
We're not
want to
done with
do,
it, but yeah.
Mary, is you might want to see if they want us to bump the 200 up to 385 and take out the special operations, because that's the, right now we have 200 and 185. Would they
Yeah.
want us to go 385 for the rescue and take out the special operations?
Yeah, that's, I mean, we have, at this point, we're gonna have
Demand
about
money
four,
is-
No,
yeah, so about $400,000 available.
Available.
Do they want to split it, or do they want it all in one?
Yeah,
That's
because
basically.
one is getting a vehicle this year, and the other one is you're not going to get that vehicle this year or next year, because we're going
But I
to,
don't want to offer this when we're not done punching yet.
no, I'm just,
Yes. Because, yeah, I mean,
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
because again, this is a very, very tough budget, because the capital, a lot of the stuff is stuff that we really can't. Well, what did we decide about River Edge Road? We're gonna put that off for now?
I don't remember that conversation.
I think we should probably remove demolishment of 10 River Edge Road. Then we're talking about
Oh, yeah, that was,
the office,
thank you.
the safety office, to somewhere here. So, yeah.
Well, 'cause he's like,
You just punched from.
Okay, that's fine. But we can probably take that out as an item. Okay.
That's good.
Is there a motion to take the demolition of 10 River Ridge Road out of the budget this year?
So moved.
Your second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. It's a small one, but it helps. The roof, we have to do. The pump station, we need the pump. The windows, are there issues with the windows, Mary, company one, or is this just like a energy efficiency or upgrade?
that was just energy efficiency.
It's not a big
number.
Yeah, but that's, it's only 1,600 on the budget, but they need a water heater, I'm sure that's, Alan, is the water heater, an insurance
On the motor
item?
vehicle.
Wait.
Yeah, we're kind of like, can we refocus?
Yeah, Alan, the water heater, is that an insurance
Grounds,
issue?
Claudia.
Where is this? Where-
The water heater company too.
On the fire department?
Yes.
That's under buildings and
Grounds.
grounds.
And grounds? I guess that's a C10, it's proposed by DPW. Let's see if there's any additional explanation.
So DPW has told me that the windows, in their opinion, are not a priority. They also could do the windows on, like they did Borough Hall, a few every year, if we wanted to do that, or take it out of the budget completely. DPW also said that the water heater was a priority. We absolutely had to do it this year. Failing to do it could lead to some repairs if it bursts. It is a 15 to 17-year-old water heater. It could lead to water damage, as it did in company number one.
No, I didn't know if it was
So I'd make a motion to remove the new windows for now, and if we want to come back to it later and think about doing it in piecemeal, that might be something. So motion to remove fire company number one windows for $34,291.
There's a motion, your second. All in favor? Any opposed? Okay. Public safety door we have to do. Lighting upgrade, what's that one, Tom?
So, this would be for the mechanics area, and to be honest with you, I
Okay, no, they-
inspected the building, and I really think it needs to be.
Yeah, no, it's a safety issue. Check the pump is necessary, and the
Yeah.
fence is necessary because it's broken. Computer, we need to keep technology current. And I know I talked to John about this, about the pickup replacement schedule. Do they need to get both this year?
I'm sorry, where are you,
The
ma'am?
Fords, the Ford 350 and the Ford F50?
So, the replacement, hold on, this is, the truck that Rick uses, both Chris and Jason are adamant that it needs to be replaced. Rick has some sort of attachment to it, and he's reluctant to let it go, but they had me inspected, and there is carbon dioxide coming into the cabin.
Okay.
Which one is that, the 350 or the 450?
He didn't refer to it that way, and so I apologize, but I can't refer to it that way.
So what's the thought on the second one then?
Hold on, give me a moment to look at my notes. So, Rick's truck is the 72, and they did not mention the other vehicle to me, or I did not take notes on it, so I'm afraid I apologize.
One is
Can't speak to.
One is 53,000, one is 74,000. I guess the question was, did they consider both major priorities? One, if there's carbon monoxide, I think that's an issue on us, so yes, we have to address that. But the other one could wait.
I'm afraid, Mayor, I apologize for pronouncing
Okay,
that.
no,
And I'll write myself a note.
Okay, not a big deal. Those, that.
The front end loader doesn't really need to happen this year, does it?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, it actually does.
It's been put off too.
I tried to talk them out of it, but then they made it clear. It has to do with several things. One, this was the one we were originally supposed to replace before the younger one broke. So the
Okay.
one replaced was actually younger than this one.
Okay.
Second, right now, every couple of years, they change the things that you add on to it. So if we don't replace it, while the buckets are and the other attachments are standard to the new one we just bought, then we actually have to spend more money because we have to not only buy a new front-end loader, we have to buy all those additions that can only go on that front-end loader.
And they use this, they have a way they use this loader, which may not always be conventional, but it's part of their system. So it would be a productivity issue also, if they,
Also, the engine's leaking, the
Yeah,
transmission's
they didn't get
leaking, the pins are rusting, and it,
I would leave it in for now, but.
I would too.
Okay.
How old is this?
This one is a 1985.
Is there a 1995 that we can be looking at?
You want to buy a used one?
I don't want to, I'm asking you
No,
questions.
I've tried that,
It was really a rhetorical
Yeah.
question.
Yeah, no, I'm just asking.
No, we could revisit it. John was always reluctant to do that, but I do believe there are some of these equipment dealers who do have pretty good, use equipment for us to use. If it's low hour usage and
Yeah.
good mechanically. Are we going to save a lot? Probably not, but we'll save something, I would guess. So it's something we can look at.
I mean, I don't know, like,
Yeah.
if it doesn't make sense, fine, but I mean, if it's something worth looking into.
I think, the 140, maybe the 140 will go down to 120, it's, yeah.
Well, partly because, again, if you buy a piece, you have to buy all
The
the
attachments.
attachments, so, yeah, you're getting, the vehicle itself, the loader might be cheaper, but then you have
Okay.
to add on. At least this is my understanding, I'm not an expert on this.
I guess we'll have to look at the age of the replacement you buy. If you buy a used one, they're going to want something that's going to be in fairly good service condition. So they're not going to order 1990 if it's got, pick a number, 10,000 hours on it, and we'll get into that kind of debate when the pin was the same. But no, I think it's a good point to, I've asked them a lot of times to consider used equipment.
So right
And that's,
now,
I'm sorry, and the other thing is the LESO program, which we never seem to get any success from. That's the Army surplus that they gave access limits. For whatever reason, we don't seem to have much success in finding anything through that program. And maybe that's something, the chief handles that, you may want to talk to him about it. It's something that he never, I think, my sense is he never considered that a high priority.
Okay.
It's not necessarily easy to get this equipment, but towns are getting a lot of stuff, so.
I'm not familiar with it, maybe you and I can talk about
Yeah,
it a
it was,
little bit,
yeah,
and I can do some
after
reading
the,
before I go and talk to the chief.
It was like after the Afghanistan and Iraq war, a lot of the equipment came back.
Right.
And they basically give it to entities.
Okay.
And they've had everything from generators to dump trucks to, you know, all these kinds of different vehicles. Well, sometimes you have to actually go and get it, but the cost still to go to, say, South Carolina is going to be cheaper than buying it.
Yeah, I'll take a ride.
Can I just mention something? I don't know if this is the right place to bring it up, but I know you've had a couple of meetings without the whole budget. For motor vehicle repairs for the fire department, it's not on capital, but it's in their budget item, and it says 32,000. 20,000 of that will be because the DPW is not doing repairs anymore. So the 20,000 that was given to the DPW, they want to have their own repairs done instead of the DPW doing their repairs.
It comes
so
out of
the
DPW.
had $20,000.
Right, it comes out of DPW.
Yeah. So when you see that 32,000 number,
We talked about that in,
that's,
But
yeah,
then
that's what
it's
I'm
coming
saying.
out of
We
the
might have
budget,
had a
right?
discussion on this.
You took it out of the DPW side.
Right, okay, thank you.
And now, I saw on the open space, you moved that, you already have the DPW in open space that we usually, at 9,000. All right, so. We didn't do, the police, that's the only thing I think we haven't touched.
we're gonna have to come back to the police. I haven't had a chance.
Yeah, no,
to
but I
apologize.
don't think, the only thing that's gonna be, let's see, body armor we have to do, curtains we have to do. Sign replacement can be probably modified a little bit. Traffic counter is a nice thing to have, but it's not really necessary, but again, it's a very small impact. School flash is something we want to do. So the other question is his replacement of the SUV. But again, that's a regular replacement, and we don't want to get stuck next year having to buy 2 or 3. So you can ask him.
I'll ask him to just,
Yeah.
you know, but yeah.
And
I'll report back.
there's other times where we actually put that into operating, but it's less impactful to do it this way. So I really don't think there's much for him to.
Sure. I mean, I'll ask him this way. We can report back that.
So we can cover everything else? Anybody have any?
Yeah, I just wanted to, I neglected when we were talking about rec to mention, and Alan, this may be something that's already accounted for, but, or part of our cable contract with Optimum, but Carolyn feels strongly that there needs to be usable, reliable internet access at Memorial Park with the camp office there. And
No, what I was going to say is that we've been in negotiations with Verizon for
Okay,
quite a
so
while, so.
that has to
that's
be a
something
location that,
They had promised.
and for this summer if possible, because they operate out of there in the summer.
Both Cablevision and Verizon had offered us hotspots in certain areas, so it's time to make them come through.
Especially with the using of the community pass for, you
Yep.
know, kind of their management, they need to be able to access that during camp
Can
season.
you
at
just
the
bring that to
park.
Stephanie's attention, and then I'll follow up? Can you bring that to Stephanie's attention?
Yes.
And then I'll follow up.
The only other item for, it's more personnel related, is the part-time rec person, and then I saw Shade Tree had 5,000 in their budget for summer help. I had mentioned to Alan, is there an opportunity to use Bergen Community for interns to do that type of work, if we could possibly consider that at a no or very low cost to the borough for that type of personnel help. I don't know, I just wanted
Yeah,
to raise
no, I
it as
think
part
it-
of the budget conversation.
Good idea.
My opinion is it's really dependent on the supervisor of the intern, whether they feel they have a special project for them to handle, or whether they can exercise oversight and supervision on a day-to-day basis for that individual. If they don't have time for that, then it's not productive for the intern to just come in and kind of sit and observe. Doesn't work out, so
Well,
that
then-
commitment has to be made at that level.
Okay, would you bring that to those two bodies to see whether or not that'd be something they would consider?
Who's one?
Recreation and Shade Tree.
Okay.
It looked like Shade Tree would be project-based if it was summer help, and that,
Yeah, and that's a routine task, there's no reason why we
Right.
probably couldn't do that.
and it doesn't have to be Bergen Community, it could be Montclair State. I mean, I know Carolyn has a relationship with Montclair State. It may just provide
Did
her
you-
what she needs.
Did you talk to her about that?
I have not yet,
Okay.
but
Oh, well, let's see what the feedback is, and I think it's a good idea to explore.
thanks.
Anybody else on the council have any items that we haven't addressed that you'd like to see addressed? Obviously, this is not going to be the final say on this, it's just the first step, so. So,
We haven't talked about the library bathrooms, right? But Phil's not here, so.
yeah, and it was, the only library thing is the countertops.
Those are new, they came
Oh.
in late, so I added them to the
How much is that?
list here. It may not be on your list, though.
Bathroom's not on there.
Yeah, it's not on
It's on
my
the
list.
library.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't even have it built in on this one.
How much was it down?
It's on the schedule.
How much was it, do you know?
For the library?
Bathrooms? Yeah.
13,806.
How much? I'm sorry.
13,806.
It's on our sheet.
It's on the sheet, but it's not on the screen.
Oh, wait, it says Lemonade County.
Yeah, I don't- oh, that's why, yeah. How many countertops? Yeah, that sounds a lot more minutes.
Yeah.
But is that the bathroom? Yeah, the counters in
No.
the bathrooms? No.
C15, if you go to that, you'll see the three descriptions of those countertops that he's looking for, C15.
Yeah, the bathroom renovation, 76,000.
$76, you said, Darren?
Over here on C15, it says 76,700 for bathrooms, and then 13,025 for countertops.
We said we'll leave it in for now, but just in for now, so it's for Joe. He comes actually becomes more of a buildings and grounds issue rather than a library issue, so.
Yeah.
Maybe kind of want to ask DPW if they've had if they've done any work in the library bathrooms.
Sounds like they need some grout.
Well, I said,
Right, I mean, that's what it
well,
says.
yeah, I don't know, so,
Because some of the tiles are separating from the bathroom floor.
yeah.
That's grout.
Yes, you know, there's some,
Not a new bathroom.
yeah.
77,000
Some ends.
renovation.
Anybody else in the council?
It was though, right?
It had been.
It happened.
It happened.
I didn't notice that it had been taken out.
Any member of the public have any questions, comments, or additional items you think we should look at?
Just a remote thought regarding the library, men's room, ladies' room renovation. I noticed you have an on-the-spot remodeling company. We've used them, they do great work, but they're very high. Can we presume that they've gone to other local contractors?
Yeah, I don't, that's why I asked Councilman Papaleo if DPW has been over there to look at it too, so.
So I'm gonna speak to them, and I'll have an answer by our next meeting.
They do great work, but it's a rough one.
There may be something that DPW can do, or maybe they have a different approach or something, so.
I'm sorry, get lost totally. Do you know, Alan, if the Board of Health has collected their fee from establishments selling e-cigarettes? We established that ordinance that they have to pay that annual fee.
No.
We just want to ensure that we get that revenue in this year, because there are establishments in the borough that do sell them. So I think that's for the
So
public.
I'll send them a memo.
Thank you.
Okay, so
Yeah,
which
that should
truck
be
is the
correct.
F-350? I don't have an answer on the F-450 yet.
Okay.
That's the one that's leaking, monoxide?
I'll leave it for now. Anything else you want to cover there?
Money, 'cause it's-
Next meeting? I presume you don't want to tag this on to Monday's meeting, which is part of our schedule, but if you want to go next Saturday, again, February 10th.
Next Saturday, the 2nd?
Cancel the 28th and then go to February 2nd.
We had a Thursday night, is that what we had?
28th was,
No, yeah, we can't, I think we put next Saturday and then the 2nd.
next Saturday.
The 2nd, yeah.
So we cancel the 28th and the next meeting will be on February 2nd, Saturday, 8 o'clock.
Is there anything else? Public? Council?
Okay, so I have an answer on the F-40. They could put that off to next year, so I make a motion to remove from the budget the F-450 for $74,200.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, good.
Chris?
Council, anything else?
He's on his training, this is good.
Correct. We still have a regular meeting Monday.
Anything
So we're
else?
meeting Saturday?
Yes.
Cool.
Review your open space information. You could take, those of you on the council, if you want to take your correspondence 21, that would give you that spreadsheet to look at.
What, well, I'm just thinking,
Sure.
what would we expect to accomplish next Saturday? We've looked at capital, we've looked at operating.
There may be some more operating budgets that you want to go back and take another swing through. And spend a little bit of time on some of those. And we'll have more answers from like Bergen County Utilities Authority. I've sent an email off to them. And might be a couple of others that might be able to move.
Okay, after you book these, as soon as you can you just maybe send that out so we can see where?
Yeah, I'm starting to work on the annual financial
I know.
statement, so I'll do what certainly I'll
But
try
at
to
least,
have it all
I mean, at least
together.
the capital, I think I kept track, but, you know.
I'm trying to have it done. It's all the tracking. You gotta make sure it's,
No, I know.
all the explanations are there so that you can explain what we did.
No, no, I know.
I'll try and get something out to you before.
Just now
this
is
meeting.
Hey, we didn't adjourn, where are you going?
Let me just make sure I didn't do it wrong.
Is, having no more business, a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, everybody. See you next week.